and welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. This week, I wanted to kind of take some time for mom and dads because when it comes to August is kind of a crazy month. We have summer coming to an end, we have hot weather, we have all of the school supply shopping and getting new schedules started. And when your kids start at school, and especially if they're doing sports, you have a million things going on at the same time. So I have found that there's really big 8 challenges of motherhood and parenthood that I wanted to talk about today and give some tips and advice and some encouragement because I feel like by the end of August, we're kind of like exhausted. And yes, I know there's a holiday weekend coming up, but it doesn't mean you feel like a human yet. So I just wanted to say that, hey, mamas, I wanted to take a minute to call the attention to yourself for everything that you do for your family and the sacrifices you make. I want to give you some advice for some of those challenges that I talked about and the struggles that we, including myself as mothers, face. So first of all, I want to say, hey, mama, I see you. I see you struggling with feeling alone and misunderstood when you're surrounded by not only your kids, but your significant other. I see you trying to hide your depression and your tears and putting on a smile for your kids. So you seem like a happy mom, even when you're pretty raw inside. I see you exhausted. I see you barely able to function during the day due to sleep deprivation. I see you anxious for your child to make new friends or even try something new. I see you biting your nails watching them deal with unkind words or getting their egos hurt when they lose a game or don't succeed at something they're trying. But I want you to know you're not alone. I want to talk about some of the challenges that we face as moms and things that may help you realize that you're part of the hood, motherhood that is, and we all have our own trials and also tribulations, but also ways to deal with these struggles because in reality, we are going to have ups, we are going to have downs, we're going to have some days where it's completely sideways, and we're going to have days where we have headaches and sadness where we just wish we could disappear, and then we're also going to have those days of happiness and laughter and so full of joy and the memories of our children that we never want to forget them. But before I begin, I really wanted to talk about a concern that I have. I hear it from a lot of women in my office that when we talk about some of our concerns or how we're feeling with our doctors or even our significant others, we may be called crazy or we may be told that our symptoms are just because we're a mom or even brushed off. And I want you to realize that it's important for you to know you're not crazy. You're not hysterical for feeling like any of these things are affecting you. Your mental health and your sanity depends and is so important upon what you're putting into your cup. Because let's face it, we can't pour from an empty cup. So it's important to make sure you understand that you need to be doing some things for you to fill that cup so that you have something to pour out and give to others, whether that is your kids or your spouse. But let's face it, if you weren't there because you lost your head with everything that's going on, your family wouldn't be able to survive without you. So I want you to take a minute and just realize that you do so much and you sacrifice so much for your family. Sometimes you need to know that it's okay to take some time for you. It's okay to recharge. It's okay to ask for help because in reality, it takes a village to raise a family. And sometimes we may not have a lot of villagers to help out with that, but you've got to take help where you need it. And you've got to make sure that you're taking time to refill that cup. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about those 8 struggles in just a minute. So 8 struggles that we moms face in motherhood. So the number one thing that I feel like all of us have dealt with on some level is mom guilt. We feel guilty about everything. We second guess everything we're doing and whether we're doing enough, even when we're completely overwhelmed and we literally cannot handle anything else. You may feel guilty for not being able to breastfeed or make your own organic baby food. You may compare the mess in your house to other moms and feel like they have it totally together in their picture perfect clean homes. You may feel guilty not being able to have a gourmet meal or even a hot meal put together for your family at dinner time. And you might be serving mac and cheese or even chicken nuggets again. That's okay. You may feel guilty for having to work and missing milestones for your kids or spending more time with your kids and you feel like you just don't spend enough time with them. But you have to keep in mind that kids are only little for so long. There's no really way to get that time back. You have to be present in the moment. So we can spend hours reminiscing and thinking about how we could be better parents, But in reality, it really comes down to the fact that you need to make your own path through motherhood and the hurdles that you face in your family. You may be working, you might not be working. You might have a husband that works so long and so far away that he cannot help, and it's totally up to you. You may have a husband that's deployed, and literally everything is down to you. But I want you to remember that your kids won't remember if the house was clean, but they will remember that you took time to color with them. They won't remember the fancy meals that you cooked, but they'll remember that you took the time to read them a story before bed. You don't have to be a perfect mom, but you do have to be you. It's okay for your kids to know you're sad. It's okay for your kids to know you're a weirdo who likes air jam to their favorite song on the radio, or the fact that you might suck at cooking. That's okay. Those kids are going to learn by example. And when they see you with all of your quirks being you, they're going to feel so much more comfortable in their own skin. Another thing that us moms face that I find is a big struggle is a constant criticism we face from other people. We may have that disguised as advice or how they've done things from family and friends, but keep in mind, you know what's best for you and your family. No one else has a right to tell you how to raise your kids or tell you that you're doing something wrong. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from it. If you're feeling discouraged or down, it's okay to take a break from those people. And it's okay even to shut off social media and check out for a few days. Sometimes it may be helpful for you to kind of focus and kind of realize where is some of your advice and the things you're surrounding come from. Are they very negative? Do you have people that are being negative and telling you you're doing things wrong on a regular basis? Maybe we need to look at some positive sources or some mommy blogs or some YouTube channels, or even just some of our friends that have kids that can give us advice and maybe even share some of those silly stories that we all have of motherhood, of what our kid did or said that really, it might have angered us or made us feel frustrated at the time, but are really funny when we think about it after the fact. Another struggle we have as moms is sleep deprivation and exhaustion. All new moms are told to sleep when baby sleeps, but when you're waking up every 2 hours for feeding, that's a lot to handle. And I don't care how much sleep you get in that 2 hours, you're still going to be a walking zombie when you're not getting good restful sleep in a time period. But every time we look at those 2 hour feedings, they don't last forever. You're still going to get woken up by a sick baby or a bad dream or a kid that just wants to cuddle. But it's okay for you to ask for help from family and friends to watch kiddos so you can get caught up on sleep. Like, hey, you think you can watch the kids for a couple hours at my house? I'm just going to go upstairs and nap. That's okay because really exhaustion is real and it's important for your mental, your hormonal, and even your physical health for you to get restful sleep to be able to bounce back and be able to handle your day. Another thing that we face as moms is learning how to balance family and work life. Motherhood is a full-time job, and when you're learning how to be a stay-at-home mom and then transitioning back to work life, it's really hard. You may feel guilty for leaving your baby, but at the same time, you crave the challenge of schedules and workloads. There's no really right answer for what's going to work for your family. You might need to work less hours. You might need to look to see if there's some flexibility where you can maybe work from home or even making up hours after the kids are napping or have gone to sleep for the night. You may even look into supplemental income so that you don't have to work as long hours during the day. Don't be afraid to get creative and don't forget your priorities. Really, you've got to figure out what your priorities are. That's your family. So sometimes it's okay to say no. Sometimes it's talking to your boss about what's changing and hey, for the time being, this is what I need. And can you help me or do I need to look for something else? A lot of employers, the good ones at least, are willing to work with you and be flexible when you have a family member that needs help or when you have kiddos that need help or have activities and things like that. And they're more than willing to work with you because they know you're going to work hard no matter what you're doing. Another thing that we moms face is self-worth and body image. Our body is forever changed after having kids. We are going to have stretch marks. We may have extra skin or scars, but you literally made a human. So you have to remember you're beautiful and your body has done amazing things. You may even have tiger stripes to prove it. But don't think you have to lose that baby weight or even go back to the same size too quickly. Your body needs time to heal. And we also need to make sure that we're dealing with all the changes that happen in our body when it comes to different stress, as well as hormone changes and irregular sleeping cycles that we have as new moms. So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't jump into things too quickly either. Make sure you're taking time to be present, be with your baby as they're little, rather than focusing on your body. Because let's face it, you're amazing. You built and literally grew a human inside of you. Another thing that we moms face is depression and anxiety. I know it's kind of hush hush and a lot of people don't like to put it out. after having a baby, your hormones are going to do some crazy things. You're going to have some roller coaster rides. And sometimes when those rides are really, really rough, we can even have something called postpartum depression. You may feel like you're on that emotional roller coaster where you're lonely and crying one minute and then you're perfectly fine the next. It's important to recognize those feelings and make space for them. Make sure you're kind of understanding what your body's going through. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for somebody to watch baby so you can take some time for yourself, whether that is, self-care or just taking some time to take a shower and do your hair and makeup if that's what you need, or even just get out of the house by yourself without all of the extra accoutrements that come with motherhood. But don't be afraid to also decline visitors and just take a day of letting the housework pile up and just sit on the couch watching movies and cuddling baby. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Whatever you need, I guarantee you people around you are willing to help and want to make sure that you succeed at motherhood, or maybe even have some suggestions on how to bounce back from that funk that we might be in. Another thing that we face as mom is wanting our children to be the best. So we have these amazing little humans that we have birthed and we're raising, and we want them to be the best at everything. But we have to realize that children are little. We need to let them be little. They're going to make messes. They're going to explore their surroundings. They're going to test boundaries of not only their bodies, but our sanity sometimes too. Their little brains are making connections. Everything that they do and see and experience and touch is helping their brain make more connections so that they can be better humans and they can grow. So make sure that you're teaching them how to grow and become better humans and realize that no one's perfect, not even adults. We all have our quirks and things that are not perfect, and that's okay. It's okay for your kids not to be perfect. It's okay for them to make messes. I always say it's washable at my house because let's face it, most things are washable. I have also found that Sharpie is also washable with alcohol. So if you get it on leather or a couch or clothing, sometimes you can use some hairspray or some alcohol to get it out. And if not, you can always find more clothes or you might already have some ready to go because let's face it, they're going to outgrow those quickly. You're going to need replacing clothes as much as you can. So just make sure you try to keep things clean, and it's okay to know that they're washable. It's okay for them to make messes. It's okay for them to do something themselves, even if it takes a long time, like zipping their jacket themselves or velcroing their shoes and hopefully getting it on the right feet. It's okay. Let them be kids, let them learn. And the last thing that I want to talk about is our relationship. So when it comes to kids, your marriage and your relationship with your significant other is going to change. There's little people that are going to need you. They need you to change them, to rock them, to feed them, to bathe them, to cuddle them. And it evolves even more intensely from there where they need your help and guidance. But even though you're sitting alone or you're not spending as much time together, you need to kind of realize that you guys are there and you're present. You're in the journey together. You're not against each other. You're in it together. So you might need to find some time or creative ways to find time together, whether that is making dinner together or sometimes even just trying something new, whether it's a new restaurant or a wine or an activity together that you can do, or even a home project or something like that. But sometimes with all of the things that have been going on and the exhaustion, and it might just be time to sit down on the couch, hold each other's hands, and not talk at all. Maybe just being present with each other in the same moment is all you need. But sometimes I will find that you might need to plan or even make time to do that before you're exhausted, because sometimes at the end of the day, you're touched out. You don't want to be touched. You don't want to sit still. You just want to be left alone. So you might need to plan for those times in the morning or afternoon time before you're exhausted and burn out from the day. So hopefully you moms have realized that you've earned those tiger stripes. We go through a lot. We have great support systems and great villages to support us, but sometimes you have to tell them what you're going through or ask them for help. It's okay to ask for help because motherhood is not easy. It's not straight up and down. It's a roller coaster ride the whole entire way. And now that I have a 5-year-old and a teenager officially, it doesn't really get easier. It changes, but it's parenthood is difficult. You're going to have some ups and downs and challenges. Just remember on those days that go sideways, try to laugh about it later and remember those silly things that happen. So I will see you next week. Have a great Wellness Wednesday, and we'll see you next week.